The earliest signs of human inclination towards supernatural beliefs can be seen in the practice of shamanism, which dates back approximately 30,000 to 40,000 years. It is considered the oldest known spiritual tradition that speaks about the soul and still has its own followers today. The origins of shamanism trace back to Central Asia and regions near Siberia, but it quickly spread across Asia, parts of Europe, sections of Africa, and even North and South America. Given the vast reach and ancient history of this tradition, shamanism varies from one region to another. However, a common feature across all variations is the presence of a shaman, an individual who can communicate with spirits and heal the sick. Since many years have passed since the emergence of shamanism and its rituals and beliefs were never documented, this has led to significant changes in the tradition over time. The variations are so extensive that even the number of deities differs from region to region. For example, in Mongolia, people believe in 55 benevolent gods and 44 malevolent gods who are constantly in conflict. Meanwhile, in some other regions, shamanic followers believe in the oneness of God. In this video, we will explore beliefs in shamanism that are widely accepted by the majority of its followers. In most branches of shamanism, the creator god resides in the sky, and the stars are seen as the windows of the divine, through which the god watches over the world. However, this god does not interfere with worldly affairs. He resides at the highest level of the heavens and usually has 7 to 9 children or messengers who live in the lower heavens. The god has entrusted them with the responsibility of protecting and assisting humans and animals. The next powerful deity is the god of the underworld, who is also considered the god of darkness. According to shamanic beliefs, after death, human souls ascend through a portal to the higher realm toward the sky god, whereas the souls of animals descend to the underworld. In shamanism, all humans, creatures, and even plants possess a soul. Sometimes, after death, these souls remain in the world. They may become restless, hold grudges, and cause illness to those who have wronged them. Followers of shamanism believe that people must treat all living beings with kindness because if they harm a creature, its spirit might take revenge. They also believe in jinn and other supernatural beings who can be responsible for diseases or make people act maliciously. This is where the presence and intervention of a shaman become crucial to save people from these spirits. In general, gods and their children have no direct connection with ordinary humans. They only communicate with a specific individual known as the shaman. A shaman, or spiritual leader in shamanism, is someone who can interact with spirits and guide them. Using medicinal herbs and special music, they expel harmful spirits from the bodies of the afflicted and heal them. Shamans can also communicate with the spirits of nature to end droughts or bring rain. Typically, each tribe has its own designated shaman, who can often be recognized by the large mirrors they wear around their necks. So, how does one become a shaman? There are 3 main ways to attain this role. The first and most common method is hereditary succession. When a shaman dies, their power is passed down to one of their children, who has been trained in shamanic practices from a young age. This child learns how to find and mix medicinal herbs, play sacred musical instruments, and recite specific chants for various purposes. Ultimately, when they can enter a trance-like state and are accepted by the spirits as a shaman, they become a powerful spiritual healer. The second method occurs when the gods and spirits choose a person to become a shaman, regardless of their background. This individual falls gravely ill, reaching the brink of death and experiencing the afterlife. During this near-death experience, they acquire vital knowledge about the realm of the dead. However, they do not die. When they recover, they retain the wisdom of healing and permanently gain the ability to heal others, thus becoming a shaman for life. The third and weakest form of becoming a shaman involves long-term training under an experienced shaman. These apprentices spend years learning how to mix medicinal herbs and understand their healing properties. Over time, they may be considered shamans, but people generally believe their spiritual power is much weaker compared to those who became shamans through the first two methods. As we mentioned earlier, the most important figures in shamanism are the shamans themselves. They have the ability to enter a trance state and communicate with spirits. However, the methods of entering a trance vary across different regions. For example, in the Arctic, where even today some of the world's largest trance ceremonies take place, shamans can enter a trance state at will and even bring others into the trance with them. In the Arctic regions, during a trance, the shaman's soul separates from their body and travels freely wherever it desires. The soul of a shaman can journey to the underworld or ascend to the heavens. However, entering a trance is not always that easy. In many places, shamans do not have the ability to enter a trance whenever they wish. In some regions, they use hallucinogenic substances, while in others, they employ techniques like music, dance, or mimicking a semi-trance state to eventually reach a deep trance where they can perform their spiritual duties. During a trance, shamans can expel malevolent spirits from a sick person's body, communicate with benevolent spirits, and even predict the future. They can also interact with restless spirits, calming them down, and guide wandering souls, leading human souls toward the sky god and animal souls to the underworld. Shamans believe that the visible world is controlled by the invisible world, which only they can perceive. They attribute all diseases to the presence of jinn or malevolent spirits inside a person's body. To cure the afflicted, the shaman's own spirit enters the patient's body during a trance and drives out the harmful entities. Because their healing abilities were essential to their tribes, shamans also relied on other methods to cure people. They possessed extensive knowledge of medicinal plants in their region and would seek permission from the spirits of the plants before harvesting them. They then used these plants to prepare herbal infusions and other remedies for the sick. Overall, a shaman's connection with nature is direct and profound. In some regions, they also believed in the healing power of music. For example, in the Amazon and Peru, shamans used special healing songs called Icaros to summon spirits. Shamans also explained the reasons behind certain problems in their communities. For instance, if someone struggled with hunting, or if the number of game animals declined, they would say that the spirits of the animals had not been released from their homes. This could happen if a hunter had previously mistreated an animal's spirit, causing it to warn the others, making them afraid to come out. In shamanism, everything is connected to spirits. For example, if a couple is unable to have children, it means they have not found a spirit for their child. They would then visit a shaman who would search for a good spirit to become their child's soul, after which they might conceive. Shamans also have another power. They see meaningful dreams that can be interpreted, allowing them to predict the future. Sometimes they must battle evil spirits, and in these cases, they transform themselves into animals such as eagles, wolves, or rams, using these forms to fight the malevolent entities and protect their tribe. Thus, people needed shamans both during life and after death, which is why shamans held great importance in their tribes. In many cases, they were also the tribe's chief. However, with the rise of organized religions, the influence of shamans declined. Today, shamanism has largely disappeared in most parts of the world, but its influence remains embedded in cultural beliefs. For example, the idea that the world is full of signs and that spirits communicate with us through events and occurrences is a legacy of shamanic thought.